They walk among us, millions who see a different world. Not round, not spinning through space. Flat, certain, unshakable. To most, they're brushed off as conspiracy theorists, madmen. But I look at it with a different eye. Not to try and prove anybody wrong, but to genuinely understand why. And what makes flat feel more real than photos from space. I've always believed that the Earth was round, spherical. And for a moment, maybe in the early 2010s, a video popped up on my feed. A guy explaining about the Earth being flat and how I've been fooled. And for a moment, it caught me. It didn't last, but it grew my curiosity. And then after doing a post recently on the manuscripts from Timbuktu, there was an overwhelming response of people who believed that the Earth was flat. And it made me think, why did I think this? Why do they think this? And maybe I should dig a bit deeper. One simple flicker of doubt is where the truth starts to bend. To trace it back, we find not one discovery, but skies watched by many hands, long before anybody knew. So this isn't just a story of what the Earth is. It's a story about how one idea about it took over the world. How round went from calculation to assumption, from a specialist tool to something a child could draw with a crayon. For a long, long time, the round Earth lived in the hands of a few. Astronomers along the Nile and across North Africa, scholars in the Arab world, India and the Mediterranean. They watched the stars shift with latitude, measured shadows along different moon suns, and slowly treated the Earth as a sphere because the math worked. It wasn't a belief, it was a solution. Then seafaring turned theory into something harder to ignore. Because look, if you're crossing the ocean, the shape of the Earth kind of matters, and it stops being philosophy and starts being about survival. Celestial navigation, long distance trade, the race to reach other continents, all of it dependent on the globe being real enough to bet lives on. The round Earth didn't win an argument, it won shipping lanes. So, as European empires expanded, they exported more than armies and railways. They exported maps. And on those maps, the world was drawn as a sphere. Globes sat in colonial offices and mission schools. Children in Lagos and in London learned the same basic diagram of Earth, even if their lives were nothing alike. A shape became part of the story empires told about themselves. Ordered, measured, complete. By the 20th century, the round Earth had already won on paper. But the space age is what gave it its image. A sphere rising over the moon's horizon, white clouds and blue oceans broadcasted into homes all across the world. You didn't have to trust a navigator or a priest or a professor. You could just point at the screen and be like, yeah, that's it, mate. And in that moment, the globe stopped being just a model. It became a feeling of one planet shared. But there's a cost when something's too obvious. The round Earth went from contested discovery to background noise. We memorize it young, repeat it on tests, spin the classroom globe for fun, and forget how much trust is baked into a simple shape. Most of us will never personally prove it. We inherit it. And anything inherited can be rejected. If the round Earth is something you were taught, not something you discovered, then it's vulnerable to one powerful question. What if they lied? It sounds like a crack in a fact, but underneath is a crack in something way bigger. Trust, man. You're not really asking about the shape of a planet. You're asking about the people who drew it, measured it, and taught it to you as truth. If they could be wrong about this, or worse, if they could lie about this, what else could be built on sand? For most of us, the round Earth arrives as a finished product. A globe in a classroom, a diagram in a book, a photo on a screen. We don't watch the experiments, we don't do no calculations. We inherit the conclusion. But an inheritance feels a bit different from discovery. It's easier to doubt something you never had to fight yourself. So when a video whispers, they lied about this, it's not arguing with Eratosthenes or astronauts. It's arguing with your memory and being told what's true. The round earth won the world, yes, but it won through institutions, schools, governments, agencies, media, and in our lifetime, let's keep it real, those institutions have been cracking. Corrupt scandals, war sold on bad intelligence, data breaches, algorithms that know you better than you know yourself. Every crack in trust widens the gap between this is what they say and this is what I believe. And into that gap, Flat Earth doesn't walk in as a joke. It walks in as an answer. Not to what is the Earth, but who can I trust? If you haven't been disappointed, ignored, or talked down to by an expert your whole life, do your own research feels like freedom. Point a camera at the horizon, watch ships vanish, zoom in until they come back, stand by a still lake, stare across the water and tell yourself, I only believe what I can see. And in a world that feels out of control, Flat Earth offers something simple, solid, and yours. It's less a map on the planet than a map of a feeling that the people in charge don't deserve your faith anymore. That feeling didn't start with YouTube. It had a history, a long one. In the 19th century, when the round earth seemed more settled than ever, one man decided to question it, not with anger, but with a ruler and a canal. Samuel Rowbotham lay on the floor of an English canal boat, stared across 3 miles of water, and declared the horizon proved the earth was flat. No curve, no drop, just a straight line you could measure yourself. He called this method Zetetic, a fancy way of saying, look it up yourself, mate. No priest, no professor, just your eyes and your evidence. His pamphlet spread, quietly at first, but his ideas found followers who formed societies, the International Flat Earth Research Society. They weren't scientists, but they were skeptics of a certain kind. People who wanted truth to be something they could touch. And for decades they stayed small, a curiosity, a pamphlet in a drawer, but they planted a seed. What if something you were taught about the world was somebody else's story? Now fast forward to the 21st century, and that seed met the perfect soil, the internet. YouTube didn't invent flat earth belief. It gave it a megaphone. A single video, someone with a decent camera, a beach, a zoom lens, claimed to prove the curvature over 10 miles of the ocean. Videos climb, comments flood, algorithms notice. Soon, it's not one video, it's thousands. Horizon tests, laser experiments, water always finds its level, high altitude balloons, Bedford level revisited. Every proof simple enough for a weekend, convincing enough for a lifetime. And every video ends the same way. Don't believe me? Go see for yourself. That invitation changes everything. It's not a lecture from NASA, not a notebook you have to memorize. It's a dare. In 2015, the Flat Earth Conference launched. Not in basements, but convention centers. Hundreds, then thousands attend. Vendors sell models, t-shirts, dome diagrams. Speakers aren't cranks, they're polished, charismatic, some might say. Doctors, engineers, pilots who woke up. The crowd doesn't come for fights. They come for belonging. Here questioning the globe isn't fringe, it's family. And the family grows. By 2018, the Flat Earth hit mainstream curiosity. Podcasts invite speakers, musicians reference it, late night hosts mock it, but mockery is oxygen, let's not get it twisted. Every laugh, every scoof keeps the conversation alive. But beneath the memes and the jokes, something deeper takes root. Flat Earth merges with bigger currents. Anti-vaccine networks, election skepticism, pandemic distrust. It becomes less about geography, more about a mindset. If they lied about this, they lied about everything. The map itself changes. Every diagram's for basic discs. Now it's the Gleason map, stolen from the UN logo, repurposed as proof. Antarctica isn't a continent, it's an ice wall holding the ocean in. The sun and the moon, small, local lights circling above. Gravity, a myth. The Earth accelerates upwards at 9.8 meters per second squared. These models don't need to be consistent. They need to be graspable. No PhD required, no billion-dollar telescopes, just a kitchen table, some string, and a sincere question. And that sincerity is what makes it spread, because it's the core. Flat Earth isn't rejecting science, it's rejecting the priesthood of science. No white coats, no acronyms, the photo you can't verify yourself. Instead, it offers a world where truth belongs to regular people, where a smartphone camera outweighs a satellite, where your eyes trump their equations. That's the seduction, baby. Not the shape, not the sovereignty. But here's where it gets complicated. Even for believers, cracks appear. Zoom in too far on that horizon test, and questions arise. Why are star wheels different in Australia? Why do flights from Sydney to Santiago arc over the Pacific? The questions multiply. New models do emerge. The dome rotates, the sun spirals, dissent brews within the community itself. Yet, the belief holds. Why? Because Flat Earth stopped being about Earth a long time ago. It became about something bigger. Who controls knowledge? Who gets to say what's real? Who you stand with when the narrative splits? And in a fractured world, that's a question worth asking, even if the map ends up wrong. I really enjoyed doing this. Too often, people are quick to judge someone who thinks something, who believes something that they don't. But I really wanted to approach this with an open mind and really discover what's happening here. I always knew there was something a bit deeper than I just don't believe that the Earth is spherical. I believe the Earth is flat. There was always a resistance, and I wanted to explore that. So I'm going to be doing many more. So until then, subscribe if you're done watching passively. We decode the myth and we don't clap for crumbs.